Round 3 of the Pirelli Welsh Rally Championship would be based in Welsh Pool, but would take in very similar stages to the previous round at Rally North Wales. And the conditions, well, they were pretty similar as well. Callum Black and Elliot Edmondson would be the fastest of the championship crews out of the blocks this morning. They start the day well, opening up a 30-second lead now. A good cushion of time to have going into the afternoon stages. For Conor McCloskey and John Rowan, it will be second place. The pair were not quite on the pace of the leaders, not happy with their suspension settings this morning, so they'd be surely trying to claw back some of that time this afternoon. And knowing Conor as we do, that would mean a very spectacular and entertaining fight back. Ieuan Rowlands and Emir Hall lead the rear-wheel drive crews at this stage in the rally with third place overall. A great start to the event for the pair, who always go well here on the plains, or indeed any Welsh stages. It's a Welshman and a Manxman in fourth place. Hugh Hunter and Rob Fagg going well at this stage. They do have a bit of a scary moment in the opening stage of the day, though. They come close to the edge of a big drop. It did slow their progress a little as the confidence took a bit of a knock, but they were starting to get back on the pace now. Andy Davies and Max Freeman, meanwhile, would lead the way in the Group N runners. A good start to the event for the pair. They sit just 18 seconds back from Hunter overall, too. And today in the historic cruise, it would be a story of Rudy Lancaster and Guy Weaver. Their pace was good to start the day. They'd hold on to 6th place as well for now, well inside our top 10 overall. For Dan Moss and Sam Allen, it will be second in the N4 class. They did have almost a minute to catch the class leaders, though. A bit of an ask through the afternoon stages. And for this pair, Scott Faulkner and Dom Adams, it will be third place in that class fight. Things were closer this way round, just 6 seconds between themselves and Moss. The ever flamboyant in and out of the car, Wug Utting and Bob Stocko sit just outside that class battle in 9th place overall. Themselves just a further 6 seconds back from Faulkner at this stage too. The fight would surely be on through the afternoon. And rounding out the top 10 were David Howells and Robin Herneman. They lead the way in the class with this result so far and will be looking to hold on to that. The return to the stages still going well for the pair. Just looking at some of the class results outside of the top 10 then, and it will be 11th place on the leaderboard for John Rowlands and Glenn Latham. The times giving them the lead in the class for now as well. For Keith Parry and Errol Evans, it will be second place in their class. Some good times, seeing them ending the morning with 12th place overall. David and James Young have a clean and steady run over the morning stages, ending stage 4 with second place in their class, and they were only 4 seconds off the lead too. Rob Dennis and Andrew Boswell will be the second of our historic crews this weekend. Not quite as high as Lancaster, but still less than a minute difference in the class at this stage, showing just how close and exciting our top 10 and indeed the rest of the leaderboard was in the Welsh Championship this weekend. For this man, Ken Pugh, with Keith Morris alongside, it will be third place in the class, 7 seconds back from Dennis at the midway point. And Chris Powell and Jim Lewis make a great start in the class, taking the lead there by a small but reasonable 16 seconds. Howell Davies and Gareth Thomas would be third place in their class. They had around a minute of a gap between themselves and any sign of moving up those results. Dave and Toby Brick end the morning with second place in the class behind Powell in the Sunbeam. Things were going well, but they'd need to up their pace in the afternoon if they were to change those positions around, or at least fight for that chance. Colin Griffiths and Mike Wilding bring some more rear-wheel drive fun to the stage with that BMW. Second in the class at this stage, 22nd place on the leaderboard. Richard Wells and Calvin Holdsworth would be the only ones in their class this weekend, so it would be the lead there for them at the midway point. 25th place overall too. And it would be a good start to the day and the class lead for Bob Vardy and Karen Tomlinson, although they were a little way down the results compared to usual in 26th place. Tim Bevan and Steve McPhee are another of the BMW crews enjoying some sideways around the stages this weekend, entertaining the spectators as well in 28th place overall, third in the class. And it was a long journey from Jersey for Ed Fossey with Chris Sharp-Simkis alongside. It was worth it so far, going well. Third place in the class for them at this stage in the rally. In 30th place overall, second in the class, it was Martin Walters with Marie Fletcher alongside in that Civic. So the morning stage is complete. Here's a reminder of the top of those results here at the Plains Rally. On to the afternoon stages then, and it would indeed still be second place in the class at the finish for Martin Walters and Marie Fletcher, 27th place on the leaderboard. It was class victory there though for Bob Vardy and Caron Tomlinson, finishing 25 seconds in the lead of the class in 26th overall. No change and no problems either for Ed Fossey and Chris Sharp-Simkis at the end of the rally. The final step on the podium, a result in itself, 25th place overall, well worth that journey from Jersey for Ed. Steve Ward and Mike Crawford would reach the end of the rally with third place in the historic cruise in that Escort, as well as 23rd place overall. And Tim Bevan and Steve McPhee would get themselves a third place in class finish this weekend in the BMW, 22nd place on the leaderboard. They'd be beaten though to that second place in the class by this man, Colin Griffith, Mike Wilding alongside in a slightly different but equally entertaining BMW in 20th place overall. Frustratingly, despite a push, there'd be no more time gained for Dave and Toby Brick through the afternoon. They end the rally with second place in the class, 19th overall. For Howell Davies and Gareth Thomas, it will be a third in class finish, the Escort pairing taking 18th place overall with that result. It had been the lead in the class all day for Chris Powell and Jim Lewis, taking victory in the class at the end of the event and 17th place overall in that Sunbeam. Ross Leach and Hannah McKillop managed to get themselves up to third place in the class by the end of the day. A strong result for the pair, who had at least one scary moment along the way. Second in that class were Ken Pugh and Keith Morris. A good fight and a good end to the day for the pair, who also finished in 14th place overall in that Evo. There's no change to report in the historic cruise. Rob Dennis and Andrew Boswell have a strong performance, maintaining second place in the class to the finish of the event here in Welsh Pool. David and James Young, meanwhile, would get themselves a second place class finish, a position they'd held all day, sadly unable to close that small gap to the class lead, but we were treated to the fight nonetheless. So that means it will be class victory for John Rowlands and Glenn Latham. A good weekend for the pair, who always go well on these stages, as I mentioned earlier. They finished just outside our top 10 in 11th place overall. More attrition as we head into the top 10. We lose David Howells and Robin Herneman in the afternoon stages, 10th position when they retire with a power steering pipe bursting on that Subaru. So that means change, of course, in 10th place. And it will be Keith Parry and Errol Evans who end the day there, as well as taking over that class lead vacated by Howells. Inside the top 10 then, it will be a 9th place finish for Woog Utting and Bob Stocko. 4th place in the Group N fight as well. Rudy Lancaster and Guy Weaver maintained their lead of the historic cruise and their impressive top 10 finish to the end of the rally, taking 8th place overall. For Dan Moss and Sam Allen, it will be the final step on the podium in the Group N class. A good finish for the pair. They take 7th place overall too. And Scott Faulkner and Dom Adams would go one better, taking 6th place overall, as well as second in the Group N fight here in Welsh Pool. But for Andy Davies and Max Freeman, it would be that Group N win. A good result for the pair. They also finished in 5th place on the overall results, and surely, despite how early this is in the season, they will be looking at championship points now. Frustratingly, it was a position lost through the afternoon for Ieuan Rowlands and Emir Hall, but that didn't matter. 4th place was a good finish, and as well as class victory, it also shows that they can mix it with the 4-wheel drive cars out there in that Mark II Escort. So taking that third place from Rowlands would be Hugh Hunter and Rob Fagg. Coming back on form, they will be happy with their finish amongst the competition, especially given that morning's near miss on the opening stage. No change then at the top of the results. Conor McCloskey and John Rowan managed to gain some time on the lead, but unfortunately for them, don't manage to turn that into victory before the end of the rally. They settled for second place, a great result for the pair as well, and given how far they'd travelled, a just reward. But that means it's victory for Callum Black and Elliot Edmondson. Turning out to be a good season for these guys, a lead they'd held all day. And although the gap was closer by the finish, a win is still a win, especially given the competition this weekend. So before we get the reaction from our winner, here's confirmation of the final results. It's a victory for Black, with McCloskey close behind in second place. Rowlands close on the heels of the Irishman, showing that he can mix it with the big boys in that escort.
Yeah, really enjoyable event, to be honest. Really enjoyed the stages. Haven't been here for a few years, so it's good to get back out on the stages and enjoy them.
Well, we changed a couple of diff settings at service. The car was a bit tail happy this morning, and I worked to the advantage now this evening, so it's going good now. Good setup going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that we've come away with anything today. We've had a tough day, in all honesty. We struggled this morning. We had a near-death experience on stage one this morning that really unsettled me, and we stalled at a hairpin, stalled again, and it was all a bit of a disaster really this morning. So we didn't really get going until this afternoon. So this afternoon's been enjoyable, but the pace of these young lads in these modern cars is pretty hot compared to us old guys in old cars. So on the whole, though, we've had a good day, enjoyed it, and glad to be here with third in the Welsh is at least it's something to take from the day.